Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting version of Chip Talks Health. Today, we are blessed to have Natalie Nicole with us from Dulsa, and you're going to learn a lot about Dulsa. This is going to be a fun conversation. So, welcome, Natalie, to the podcast.
Such a pleasure to be here with you. I have been looking forward to doing this one.
It's really fun when you find kind of a fellow traveler in this space. And, you know, we talk so much about how you program the body and how you can program the body with food. And to me, sugar is just one of the most evil things that we have out there. Is sugar inherently bad? No, but the way that we use it right now is inherently bad. And I'm just really excited that a company like yours has stepped to the forefront, taken the risk, because this takes risk. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to do something like what you're trying to do, and stepped to the forefront and really tried to bring us a different, better product. So I'm really excited to get into this today with you. But do you want to tell us a little bit about kind of how you got here? So how did you get to this place, Natalie?
Yeah, sure. So, starting back, my family had to deal with some significant health complications. And, that kind of got me on the trajectory of trying to find solutions that were food-based first and foremost. But as far as the creation of the actual product that I'm bringing to market, I had a wellness center back in Ohio prior to me moving, and I was helping people to get their body composition in alignment and to help them, detoxify their systems, clean things up. And I kept on getting met with people having the struggle of, I want to treat, I don't want to blow my diet. I'm trying to make some healthy lifestyle choices. I really feel stuck here. How can I get out of this position? So, I started crafting meal plans for people, and then I started making baked goods for people to help them satisfy their cravings, but making sure that I was focusing on really high quality protein, organic ingredients, low carbohydrate, and ultra low sugar. So always looking for ways that I could sweeten up things for them, give them that enjoyment, that satisfaction, but not wreck their diet plans. So in that trial and error period, I started creating different recipes, and, I kind of had to go the long walk around to get back to this before I got into actual product development. But I started making recipes to actually create sugar substitutes and landed on a recipe and a formulation that really just hit all the marks, but was really looking at sweeteners in a whole different light, actually developing and delivering the beneficial therapeutic agents within the sweetener. So creating a functional food.
Yeah, no, and I noticed that some of that on your website. So we'll talk about that in a second. Some of the probiotics and prebiotics that you're putting in there, and how beneficial those are. So we'll talk about that in a second, because that's pretty cool. And that is, that's next level tech. I mean, that is, you're doing something that no one likely knows that you're doing, but it's so beneficial, and it's a good thing to do for people. And that's not really how we've designed products. Not me and not you, but let's say society has designed products in the past has been more to, how do I extract money from you? And usually people aren't as altruistic as you have been in your product design. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So you came to this through baking and kind of trying to give people alternatives to, and we're coming up on holiday season.
Oh, yeah.
So I would think, like, in your product, how does it work as far as like one-to-ones with sugar, and is it easy to work with? I mean, is it easy to use, like if you're a baker?
Yeah, actually, it really is easy to work with. It's definitely not a one-for-one for sugar, because what I've done is I made sure I wanted to keep this as clean and pure as possible. So it's really a concentrated formula. So instead of me opting to go for, how do I make this a one-to-one delivery system, that would require me to put fillers or binders into the product, and I didn't want to do that. So since this is a pure botanical extract, you're looking at 1/4 of a teaspoon gives you the sweetness of 1 teaspoon of sugar. So, it's a pretty easy ratio to work with. We're a quarter of what you would typically use for sugar. But I always err on the side of caution with people, especially when they're playing with recipes or baking, and because it does bake beautifully. I always tell people just go a little bit more conservative, because what's really unique about the sweetener is it actually plays off of all the other surrounding flavors and actually amplifies them and acts as a flavor enhancer. So you might find that you don't need quite as much sweetness there, because it really marries everything else so well and pulls everything forward. And it's super sweet on its own. So I always tell people just go a little bit under what you think it would be and just build up from there. It's always easier to add more than it is once you sweeten something beyond that point of satisfaction, then it's just too much.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I'm surprised that it's less, not more.
Mhm.
So that I would think is that's a design positive. That's a good thing if I'm a baker. If I can use less of something that's my sugar, then that should be better. So that's good. I would just naturally assumed it'd be twice as much or something, and not as sweet. Yeah.
With this, actually, less is more, and it's really potent and powerful, like super delicious, no weird aftertaste or anything. But again, you're getting all those beneficial ingredients that are contained within there. So every scoop that you add, you're just adding more benefit. So I definitely don't have a concern with people using too much of it. But yeah, it's a beautiful delivery system.
Yeah, and sugar is I kind of use this analogy all the time. So again, if you grew up in Peru, you're used to something called the coca plant. People chew coca plant all the time. It's part of their culture. No one becomes addicted to chewing coca leaves. But if you take those coca leaves and you extract the cocaine from them and purify that and refine it, it becomes a horribly addictive drug, very similar to sugar. So sugar beets, nothing wrong with those, but you extract the sugar out, refine it, and make it into what we have in CNH pure cane sugar. That's not so good. So do you want to talk a little bit about sugar and kind of, the problem you're trying to solve and how you're solving it? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. I mean, just like you said, I mean, sugar really is one of the most damaging substances that we use, and we look at it like it's nothing. Like this is not a big deal, but I really feel like I should be like introducing myself and saying, hi, my name is Natalie. I'm a sugarholic.
Mm-hmm.
And, people should be looking at others with respect with this, because we would never joke about somebody going to an AA meeting and expressing that they're addicted to a substance. But people don't even recognize how challenging it is when people are dealing with an addiction to sugar. And I mean, it's nearly impossible to get away from, because it's within all of our packaged goods, all of our beverages, our ketchup isn't even safe from sugar. And when people try to get off of it or reduce their amount of consumption, they really do struggle with it. So, sugar is a really big problem for us, and it's impacting everyone. This isn't something that only impacts a certain few people. It's like our children are being negatively impacted from this. I mean, Chip, I know you've seen it, but children now have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, yet they've never consumed alcohol in their lives. So when you put the two and two together and you recognize that sugar is as toxic to the liver as alcohol, you can start to see, okay, our children are suffering diseases that they've never had before. Childhood diabetes. I mean, this is getting out of control. So sugar is a massive problem. And when you look at people who have significant health challenges, they may have a diagnosis, the big C, and, they're consuming carbohydrates and sugar. That's going to make resolving that issue so much harder. So this is something that all people are feeling, all walks of life are experiencing, and it's really going to take a major overhaul in thought to break those bounds of sugar. So that's why I'm here, really to shake up the way that things are being done, and take a whole stab at this, and try to present a real solution.
You're so right on that. I'll tell you a funny story. I was talking to somebody who I knew was an alcoholic drug addict, and I said, "Oh, well, this is going to be so easy to explain, sugar and kind of sugar and food addiction to this person." And so I start telling them, the rationale that you go through, to try to justify your next drink or your next use or whatever. Like, yeah, I know. Well, I said, well, equate that to food. So let's just say you and I decide, hey, let's fast for 3 days. You're going to go through the same rationalizations and the same excuses and the same things that you do to get that next fix or that next drink of alcohol with food. And they got mad at me. I mean, really mad at me. And like, conversation's over. I don't want to talk to you anymore. That's not me. That can never be me. Like, yeah, you just proved my point. So
yeah, it really is sad because, if somebody is trying to break free from sugar and trying to, get away from that, think about, you go out with your friends, your family. Oh, it's just a piece of cake. Oh, it's just a cookie. It's not a big deal all the while. Yeah, but you would never do that to somebody who's trying to recover from alcoholism. You would never do that to someone if you knew, hey, your family member, had an addiction to cocaine. You would never say, hey, it's just a bump. It's not like you're doing an 8-ball. You would never do that to someone. So again, we've taken this very casual approach to looking at things like sugar, even though it's a drug, versus something like alcohol or cocaine or pills. It's just, again, it's a serious problem, and coming off of it is no easy thing to do. And again, it's impacting the same receptors in your brain as cocaine or heroin. So the addiction is very real.
I love you, Natalie. This is awesome. Yeah, no, completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. So, okay. So let's, kind of go to the next step. So, this is a problem. That most of us are addicted to sugar and that this is a very difficult thing to break. You have kindly, good for you for, from a societal perspective, from a human being perspective, tried to solve this problem with a product. And I think that's the way we solve the problem. I can help you with your drug addiction by getting you to go cold turkey, or I can give you some plant-based substitutes that are going to help you transition until the screaming memes go away, right? So do you want to talk a little bit about your product and product design and kind of what you put in there to help kind of satisfy this problem and solve that problem?
Yeah, sure. And, again, you have a million options when it comes to sweetening your food or your beverages, but how many of them are actually serving your health? So when looking at that problem, it was like, okay, the major things that people are really coming up against that they're having challenges with is, their energy is just completely off. Their mitochondria is so damaged. They're getting, constant environmental exposure that's causing problems with the mitochondria. They have the electronics and all these other things that are just damaging to them. So I was like, what are the things that we could use? What are some beautiful plants that come from God's garden that could actually benefit our mitochondria? How can we support that system in itself? So like that was one area that I know a lot of people are challenged with. Gut health is such a major issue for people. Nearly everybody has leaky gut. It just presents itself in different ways. But again, we have all these environmental factors, the glyphosates, the pesticides on the food, the overuse of medications, all these things that damage our gut. So I'm like, let's make sure that we're looking at the gut health when we're developing this product also. And then you look at, again, because of that glyphosate, because of those, pesticides, our mineral stores are down. So even though we're trying to make up for it by eating more nutritious, meals, high vegetables, lots, healthy fruits, things of that nature, well, the soil's depleted. So now we don't have enough minerals in our system. So let's make sure that we look at nutrients as an option too when we're developing this product. So, all of these things were a part of the conversation. And all of these things also, I was like, well, let's look also too, balancing out the blood sugar. But let's take it a step further and let's really pay attention to insulin, because that's the real thing that we need to be focused on here.
Yep.
So all of these things got wrapped up into the development. And like I said, I have the privilege of being surrounded by some of the most amazing healers of our time, but I've been following so many of these people my entire life. So I just went to the drawing board, looked at all the things that are out there, and started putting something together that I thought would be a viable option. And let me tell you, there was a lot of trial and error. But what I settled on taste-wise and also composition-wise, it was like a home run. And So with the base of the product, I started looking at, again, the gut health. So prebiotics. So I went ahead and put things like Yacon Root extract and also blue agave inulin, because I wanted to make sure that we were feeding the microbes with beneficials, but also allowing our body to create its own healthy probiotics. So we got the prebiotics in there. We opted to put a spore-based probiotic within the recipe because we wanted to make sure it was resistant. Because so many of the probiotics that you buy off the shelves, they're dead before you even get them, or, the stomach acid is just going to destroy them. So I decided to go with a spore-based probiotic to really support that. And also too, Bacillus coagulans has a really beautiful profile as far as being able to help people out who are dealing with things like IBS, Crohn's, colitis, inflammatory bowel disease, things of that nature. So I really want to make sure we had something impactful for the gut health.
It looks to be your probiotic that you have in there looks to be a really good, that's kind of the area of expertise that I have, and not all probiotics are good. I point to one, Lactobacillus acidophilus. He can be good, but if he overgrows, he's going to give you, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which can cause all manner of problems. So I really compliment you on your choice of bacterium that you use there. And he is a spore former. He doesn't get pathogenic. So a lot of these guys can get pathogenic if they overgrow. Yours doesn't, what you're using. And then you've got a really nice inulin-based prebiotic in there too, which, I really like your design of what you've done there. And then do you want to talk a little bit about allulose and kind of what you're doing there?
Yeah. So I actually added 2 sweeteners in here. Now, of course, the prebiotic fibers lend themselves to the sweet profile of the product, but obviously we needed a little bit more than that. But so with looking for a sweetener, I didn't want the standards. I didn't want the stevia. Stevia has a really weird aftertaste and sets a lot of people off. But the allulose is so special because this works and behaves like a natural GLP-1. So of course, this one just doesn't come with a black box warning. So we're not going to cause paralysis of the stomach. We're not going to cause cancer or blindness or any of these other problems that you're seeing with, the GLP-1s because of the dosing. But you get this beautiful effect with the allulose where it actually has been shown in clinical studies in both human and animals to actually break down visceral fat and lower inflammation. So, I mean, that's just, those 2 things right there alone are just so impressive. But when you look at what happens to the blood sugar and the insulin, I mean, you're actually causing a response where you're becoming less insulin resistant and more insulin sensitive. That right there is beautiful. But also too, allulose has this beautiful knack of lowering postprandial blood glucose spikes.
Yeah, it doesn't really cause a spike at all, and that is huge. If you look at kind of how your body works, when you eat a meal or when you eat carbohydrates, that causes an insulin spike, and that tells your body basically, or tells all the cells, hey, you've got sugar, you can open up your GLUT receptors and suck up the sugar. That's the whole system is kind of messed up in us because of diet. So finding things that don't spike insulin is really beneficial, and certainly things that are sweet, because these are things that will help us transition from our addicted to processed sugar world that we're in now into a better kind of healthier situation. So that's just bravo.
Yeah, what's really funny is, I would always do the finger sticks when I was making this, or, wear a CGM for a period of time. Not that I want to have wearables on me for long periods of time or anything, but just for this testing phase, because of course, like, who better to test on than yourself? I make myself the guinea pig with everything that I do. And in wearing the CGM, I mean, I would see myself, like, I would take in some carbohydrates and you would see it start to rise, and boy, take that sweetener, it just comes right back down and it would just stay balanced. So that was a really beautiful effect of that. But allulose also has positive implications when it comes to your mitochondria. So, again, I really wanted to make sure that we were protecting that area right there. and to balance off the sweetness, because allulose actually isn't all that sweet. It's only about as sweet as, it's about 70% as sweet as sugar. So what people tend to do is they will overuse allulose, and you get to a tipping point with it where you take in too much of it, it starts to have like that cooling sensation on the tongue. Or you get to a point where if you go too much with it, you could have digestive distress. So I was like, well, let's find a way to balance this out so we get the benefits of allulose, but we don't tip the scales. So that's where I started working with the organic monk fruit extract. So that helped to balance out the sweetness profile, but also give it more body, more flavor, and just really round the whole thing out. But then you're getting the beneficials from the mongosides too. So I really just wanted to make sure we had all those things put together. So beautiful sweetness in the flavor profile.
Yeah, what she just said, I'll just tell you guys, is so complicated. When you begin to try to formulate something like she has formulated, it's difficult, and you think, oh, well, it's just a sweetener, just put in stevia or whatever. No, it doesn't work that way. And what the level of sophistication in this product is unbelievable. So this isn't just a sweetener; it's a prebiotic, it's a probiotic. And it's a glycemic control product that won't break your fast, right? This won't break your fast. This will not. So if you like cream, you hear Cindy and I talk about we're intermittent fasters. We're always talking about intermittent fasting, and people always ask, well, what about my coffee? Well, you can put this in your coffee. It won't break your fast.
Correct. Every day I start my day like that. I always have a coffee first thing in the morning. Now I like to go like the keto style coffees and stuff. So I like to do the butters, the heavy creams, and the Dulsa. But sometimes I'll just have a black coffee with Dulsa in it. And again, it's not going to break the fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really, really good way to start the day.
Well, and my previous, before I knew you guys, my previous, the only way that you could make something sweet and not break a fast really was stevia. And as you said, I like stevia. I think stevia is fine, but some people, stevia is so bitter. It's so bitter, it's sweet. And
Yeah.
that's stevia. So some people can really taste that bitter, but I don't. I just taste it as sweet.
It's funny. I'm sorry. I kind of liken stevia to like cilantro. People either love it or they hate it.
Yep.
It's just, it has such an effect on people, but there's always something that kind of lingers with stevia for me. And if I try to put it in my coffee, I want to slap somebody. So I was like, I can't do stevia. So I didn't want to do that to anyone. I wanted to find something that was more neutral, more palatable for people.
Yeah, and your product is, I've tasted your product. I haven't tasted it in a baked good, but I've tasted it in coffee and things like that. It's very good. It's got a very nice, and it's got a little bit of a kind of a vanilla note to it, which is a nice kind of thing that I really like. So who are you looking to work with right now?
I'm looking to work with everyone who has it in their mind. When it comes to products that are currently on the market, those food and beverages that are looking to clean up their profile. Luckily, we have the MAHA movement happening. And again, I've been living the MAHA movement my entire life. So I'm just so happy that this is now something that's mainstream. I mean, we've all been fighting this fight. It seems like our entire existence. So now that this is happening, you're seeing food manufacturers, beverage manufacturers actually try to get ahead of what they know is coming down the pipe, because they're going to be forced to clean it up more so. So, there's been a focus on the chemicals, the food dyes, and things of that nature, but sugar is on Kennedy's, hit list. And high fructose corn syrup and all of these artificial sweeteners. So guess what? I want to position Dulsa so that these manufacturers and these products know that they have an alternative that now is going to give them additional benefits, but it's going to allow them to continue to operate without problems for the administration. But when it comes to people, I'm trying to address all people here. I want to make sure that they know in the natural world, they have so many viable options, but now they have one that takes sweeteners to a whole new place. Because again, we should be looking at food as medicine, food as a tool to help us, live a better, cleaner, healthier life, and not cause harm to us. So I'm looking to reach the mothers. I'm trying to reach the wellness advocates, the clinicians who are trying to help their patient population heal and resolve these issues, because we're not about band-aids. We're not about masking problems. We want to actually address the root cause of the problem and fix it. So I'm trying to reach everyone.
Okay. And I know we do get some viewership on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is a place where we've got a lot of, let's say, brokers. Would you be, interested in brokers? Are you, entertaining things from brokers that would potentially take your product and move it into food services or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, this is a concerted effort to, again, make Dulsa the #1 sweetener in the world, not just in America, but in the world. Because when you look at what America's #1 sweetener is, little yellow packet, that thing causes more harm than good. And depending on who you are, it could be causing significant damage. For the ADA to put this on a pedestal, this little yellow devil, and say that this is the best sweetener for diabetics, when all the while, if you dig into the literature, that packet causes, acute insulin resistance in teenagers and pregnant women if they consume it with fast acting carbohydrates. So it's like, I want to knock that guy right off of the pedestal, put the orange pack in its place, get rid of the yellow ones, the pink ones, the blue ones, get rid of all of those, and actually show the public that we have something that's actually good for them. So I want to reach everyone. So brokers, wholesalers, distributors, grocery chains, like I said, medical groups. I'm already working with several prominent doctors and medical groups. And yeah, this is a major push here.
And I'm just kind of thinking out loud, but we do some stuff with US Diabetes Care, and they are a organization that's focused obviously on eradicating type 2 and type 1, but you would be a good, again, I'll introduce us all together after the call, because that would be a good thing for you to get plugged in with, and he'd appreciate that from you. That's a win-win-win.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places that you need to be plugged into, and where I can help and where Cindy and I can help, we certainly will try to do that.
Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, no, this is great. And it fits, when I look at, let's say I look at something like type 2 diabetes. Well, again, God is a perfect engineer. He doesn't just decide one day, hey, I think I'm going to give you type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is caused. I mean, most of it is self-inflicted. But if you look at like, okay, how am I going to get you past type 2 diabetes? Well, the underlying cause of a lot of type 2 diabetes is biome stuff. And as you said, some of these artificial sweeteners just feed that bad biome and feed that pathology and make situations way worse. So you might think as a type 2 diabetic, hey, I'm going to take the yellow packet, right? And the yellow packet's really going to help me. And that's what the American Diabetes Association says. And all that's doing is throwing gasoline on the fire that I have already.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. It just makes inflammation so much worse. It just offsets the entire gut microbiome. It's like, come on, guys, we can do so much better than this. But again, this is what the public is being sold as your alternative. And again, I want to break the narrative. So many of the doctors that I'm working with or I'm friends with, they're really challenging the science, because we've been fed this story and it's just not true. And the people that are supposed to be protecting us, these institutions of trust, allegedly, are not, living up to their end of the bargain. And it's a pay to play scenario. Unfortunately, it's everywhere. That type of corruption is everywhere, and especially in our medical and our research areas. So again, we have some people, some scientists, some researchers who are really shining a light on this. But I want to help people to understand too that your doctor is telling you that these problems like diabetes, oh, they run in your family, it's hereditary, it's genetic, it's this, it's that. It's like, no, this is lifestyle. Your grandmother ate a certain way. She told your mother to eat a certain way. Your mother had you eat a certain way. You're going to do the same thing with your kids. This is not hereditary. This is lifestyle. It's comfort. It's what you know, and we can fix this.
Yeah, no, love preaching to the choir. It's just the same stuff I say all the time. That is great stuff. Yeah, and when we can fix this, and again, why should we settle for, you had in the 50s, you had the guy that characterized marijuana. I'm a cannabis activist, so I just know this. The guy that characterized marijuana wasn't Raphael Mechoulam. So no, marijuana wasn't characterized by the Israelis with your money. It was characterized by a guy named Roger Adams, who was corrupt and took a $50,000 bribe, which was a lot in the 50s, to basically demonize fat over sugar, right? So he was paid to have research that came out and said sugar's so wonderful for you. So, we've just been mind mushed by this, money people and these food people. And, regrettably, that's affected our physicians, our medical system, our dietitians. And you fight the same battle I fight. And Cindy and I just watched this movie called Idiocracy. It's an interesting movie. It's almost like kind of what you feel like, fighting this fight every day, because you're fighting against these things that you know to not be true, but yet they're so entrenched in institutions. But good for you. And again, these institutions, I think you're probably seeing the same thing we're seeing. These institutions are falling, and they're falling under the pressure that we're bringing, to them. So.
And that's the other thing. It's like, I know I'm not going to be the one to stop Big Sugar. Big Sugar it's a behemoth. It's a monster. It's got a lobby behind it that
CIA. It's got the CIA behind it.
Yeah, it's like, no, I know I'm not going to get that beast to change its stripes. But what I can do is I can step outside of that broken system, and I can create a new channel for people. And, there are so many great things happening in the world, and people are trying to step out of that system. The people that want to stay in it, they're free to stay there. That's their choice. But for those of us who are looking for better alternatives, we're creating our own ecosystems over here. We're creating our own paths to wellness. And I think you're just going to see such a push here where we're all working collectively for this. I think we're going to pull a lot of people out of that. But we're going to have to do this on our own. That's why I decided to make this product, because nobody else had done it. So I'm like, I'm going to step up to that plate. Like, this is my battlefield, and they're not going to silence me. They're not going to frighten me. Just like so many of the other amazing warriors that I work with, they have faced so much opposition. Their careers have been, ended. They've been blacklisted. They've been, just punished publicly. But they stand for something. They stand for truth, and they stand for health and for freedom. And that's where I'm at, and that's what I want to bring to the world, and that's my contribution. And hopefully people can see this with an open heart and an open mind, and realize that I'm just somebody. I'm one person trying to help be of service and help people find a better way, but not lose the enjoyment. Like, I don't want to punish people because they like sweeteners. I want people to be able to enjoy sweetness. Make a cake, just make it a healthier cake. We just got to find those solutions, and it's here.
Yeah, and liking something sweet is something that's godly. It's something that's innate to us. It's something that's part of our makeup. It just, sadly, we've been and I see it as influence. I see it as bad. I see it as people trying to control us, let's say with processed sugar. But it's, you just, again, thank God for people like you. And if you guys out there don't realize how hard it is to do what Natalie is doing, anybody can come out with something sweet and put some money behind it and big advertising and go on, XYZ radio shows or TV shows and make money and sell you something, right? But that's not what we're talking about here today. We're talking about a product that is an advanced product that is built to solve a problem, a health problem that we all have, that's a better mousetrap, and that, has better features over and beyond, anything that's out there that's sweet, which is really cool. So congratulations, Natalie. This is great.
Because bringing something to market, is not easy. And again, we don't have massive funding behind us.
Yeah.
And when you consider that, we have 9 different organic plants in our product. And when you consider for a startup company to have to buy raw ingredients, your minimum MOQ with any one ingredient is going to be 25 kilos. So guess what? If you have one ingredient, the factor's around $400 or $500 or something a kilo. That's a massive undertaking for a small company to try to bring to market. And then you have the manufacturing and learning how to navigate through that world and packaging and design. And there's nothing available for advertising at that point. There's nothing available for even a travel budget. But it's like you get in your car, you drive from state to state to state, you try to get in front of people and show them and let people taste test, and just you try to navigate through this field, because it's not easy for people to bring them to market. And then once you get to market, surviving long enough to actually bring it to the kind of scale and volume that you need to. So this has been a massive undertaking for us. I wouldn't change it at all, but this is a labor of love. It's like, again, this started with love in my kitchen, knowing that I wanted to help people heal their bodies and support their health and wellness, but also enjoy everything. To now, it's like we're here. Now we're actually taking those steps and seeing it grow. It's a dream come true.
Yeah, it's just congratulations. I mean, it's just really proud of you. And I know the hardships we've gone through, and I'm sure you've faced, if not more, similar. And just, it's hard to bring, let's say, these alternative things that are, and it's not like they're against the entrenched system, but they're kind of in spite of the entrenched system.
Wow.
And you don't get a lot of help when you try to do that, because the system supports itself. So good for you. And is there anything else that we want to get in there? Have we missed anything in our discussions?
Oh, boy. There's so much to this sweetener. It's really hard to sum it up in like a couple of bullet points. But again, it's like cellular hydration. Like, whoever thought that their sweetener would be working on cellular hydration, nutrient uptake, and also detoxification. It's like, so, what I selected to go in here is so impactful, but the full spectrum fulvic minerals alone that we have in here take this to a whole other world. I mean, you're talking about patented anti-glycation agent. You're talking about an anti-aging aspect. I mean, our sweetener, you understand that sugar actually causes advanced glycation end products. So it's aging you rapidly. For anyone who cares about the integrity of their skin, they want to age gracefully. They want to, not have the aches and the pains that are associated with aging. Well, guess what? Sugar is going to put that burden on you very quickly. So with our sweetener, it actually works in opposite of that. Our sweetener actually helps to build type 1 collagen. It actually speeds up the growth of hair. It actually strengthens your nails. So it's like, all right, that's something completely, against the grain when it comes to sweeteners. Nobody ever looks at sweeteners in that capacity. So that's something that's truly unique, but also too, to be able to assist the body to detox heavy metals and chemicals out of your system. Again, these are things that we just don't see. That's why this is such a beautiful functional food. And then something else that was really unique is, like I said, I didn't want to add any fillers, binders, excipients to this. Mm-hmm. So most food developers are going to need like a flow agent or something, especially when you have a very light, airy powder like I do. But I was like, well, we're not going to put things like silicone dioxide or titanium dioxide and that in our product. So what could I use instead? So I went with organic bamboo silica. Bamboo extract that behaves like an emulsifier, behaves like a flow agent. But again, we're adding to the benefit of the collagen, the tendons, the bone, the muscle. So all of these things were considerations when building this out. So, again, from head to toe, we're looking at supporting health in a beautiful array, but everything works synergistically.
So it's almost like everything that you needed to put, and because I'm a formulator too. So when I'm making tablets, I have to have a binder, I have to have a flow. And so it's when you're making products, you have to have those things. But it sounds like you've literally gone to nature, gone to the cleanest, most, generally regarded as safe, most efficacious ingredient and chosen that one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like everything was chosen with love, but everything I was like, again, turn to God's garden because everything that you need is there. You do not need synthetics. Nobody has a deficiency in some prescription drug.
Right.
Nobody. But we are all nutrient deficient. We all benefit from botanicals. Botanicals are the way, but if we can keep them in a format that absorption is there because you are what you absorb, not you are what you eat, you are what you absorb. So
Yeah.
making sure everything was amplified for you so that everything is impacting your body at the most beautiful beneficial layer, but making sure that we had something that blended synergistic compounds that each one has a cascading effect that works off the other to promote even better wellness.
Well,
More.
and yeah, and I'm glad you're putting some, some things that, let's say, promote collagen. If you look at kind of carbohydrates and essential nutrients, carbohydrates aren't really essential, right? You don't need to, you go the rest of your life without eating carbohydrate, you're going to be fine. But they taste good, right? They're good sources of vitamins and things like that. But it's interesting how you've built this product. It's really cool. I admire and respect it because I know kind of what I do. So it's and it's not something that a lot of people just throw things together, and you haven't done that. It's very obvious that you haven't done that.
Yeah, and but the major thing, so all of those beneficials, it's great. Everybody wants you to knock it out of the park benefit wise, but it has to taste great. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you can have the very best product in the world, the most nutrient dense anything, but if it doesn't win people over in the taste aspect, you are not going to get anywhere with it. So to ensure that we had nailed it with that, when I was beta testing the product, I made a jar. It's probably a good, 8 ounces or 10 ounces of product. And I took a taste of it. I gave some to my husband, and we're like, all right, this is really good. But I kept on going back to the kitchen for another spoon and another spoon and another spoon. And by the end of the day, I had consumed the entire jar. And I was like, I think I've got the flavor right. And here's another thing. We took that finished taste sample,
Yep.
in another batch, we took it to a Turning Point USA event out in Phoenix. I
Oh,
must have taste tested that with about 300 people. Every single person asked me if it was ready for purchase. And I was like, I'm just taste testing. I haven't even come up with packaging yet. Like, we didn't have anything, just to get the feedback from the people. And everybody said that they would order it.
oh, wow. Yeah, no, I think you've got a bit, it's just your problem is going to be my problem. It's how do you tell people that you have an advanced product, that's better than what's out there, that works better, that's safer, that you put a lot of time and energy into. So you're going to have to, do what we do and talk to a lot of people through this format. But again, I'll help where I can. And something that we'll talk about as soon as we hang up, but I've got some people I think we can loop into this that are just influencers. They may or may not help, but they're somebody who will talk about it, so that's a big thing. So,
My mission is to, again, get it out there as much as possible. I don't care if somebody has 10 followers or 10 million followers. Every single person has a voice. Every single person has influence. And you might have one person who's dealing with a major health issue. They might have type 2 and they might be trying to manage that. If I can get it into one person's hands and it can be of benefit to them, I am doing my mission. And that has been the way I've operated my entire life. If I can make one person better, if I can make 100,000 people, whatever it is, however I can lend myself to this, I am doing the right thing. So I am grateful for anybody that you can introduce me to.
all right. All right. We will do some of that. So, okay. Well, is there anything else that we need to get in there, Natalie, or is this a good place to leave it?
It's a great starting point. But again, there's so much that we can dive into and really breaking down the individual ingredients because each one has such a deep rabbit hole that we could jump into.
Well, and we may want to do that. We may want to have a follow-up where we talk about your individual ingredients, and really kind of dive deep on what those are. Because I'm interested. I don't know what all of them are. I know what some of them are, but I'm really kind of proud of you for the ingredients that you've selected, and I think that would be good. I think that would be good. We could certainly dive into those ingredients and why they're beneficial, and that would better highlight, the product and also the effects of the product, because you're going to get, and you said 7 or 9?
There are 9 total
9.
ingredients. Yeah.
So each of those is going to have its own action, its own efficacy, its own mechanism of action is going to be beneficial in its own way. So
Yeah, and each one more impressive than the last. It's like, but again, to put them all together, it just, again, I want to take care of people from head to toe. And again, this is such a unique way to put something out there. Again, I think everything should work like this. Like everything should be as beneficial as it can be. And really it's the education that's the most important thing, because people will look at my sweetener and some people will say to me, you're not charging enough for this, because they understand what each one of these things are doing. And other people are like, well, why am I going to pay so much for a sweetener? And that's where the education is so necessary, because this is not just a sweetener. This is going to allow you to eliminate half of the supplements that are in your cabinet and get them in one handy delivery system. Or again, if you're working with certain things that might be a little bit potent or herbaceous, maybe it's something that you add the Dulsa into, and now you're getting your children to take something that's normally a little bit too much for them, and now they're taking it, and now that Dulsa is amplifying everything that your product is already doing, because it enhances everything.
Yeah, and that's, we're kind of trying to figure out how to make our stuff taste better, and then we've also got I've got a kind of a size problem, right? So I don't want to make the serving sizes too large, and so I'm kind of banging around all that. But we're definitely looking at your product to help us in some of those areas. So, and I'm sure other formulators will be too, as they discover your product. So I think you've got a lot of upside. It's going to be kind of fun to watch what happens to you over the years.
Well, I'm going to give you this one. This is pretty exciting. The original, not that I enjoy this product, but the original formulator for Monster energy drinks is actually testing with this, because he wants to create energy drinks that are helpful, that are not damaging. I mean, he sold out of that company long, long ago. But I mean, to have somebody that was in that kind of wheelhouse saying, we can do better. Like we can make products that are good for people. And again, just think about that. When you have options like that to choose from, whether it's, you have your teenagers that want energy drinks or something like that. Well, let's make energy drinks that actually support their health, that don't get them so hyped up and cause all this damage to their systems, or cause metabolic distress, or, sugar issues down the road. Like let's create things better.
Yeah. And fill known health deficiencies. Again, omega-3, omega-6 balance is a huge problem in our society. No one gets enough collagen aminos right now. We're all deficient in those. So there's none of us get enough B and C vitamins. Those are water soluble. Those are easy to put in a energy drink or whatever. So there's lots of problems that just what I just said is, 95% of our, health problems, honest to God, and that could be solved in a drink.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's do this, like I'm ready, and I will meet anybody halfway. It's like, let's go and do this, because not only do we deserve better, our children, our grandchildren, everybody deserves better. And, there's no work around this. It's like, if you continue to put poison into your system, we're going to get worse and worse and worse. And we can't keep going on the same trajectory that we are. So let's find better ways while we still can.
Yeah, no, agree. And this is a great place to leave it. It's, and we'll have you back, Natalie. This is a great show. I really like you. I like your thinking, your, not greed thinking, your service to self or service to others thinking, which is where we all kind of need to be. So I love that. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, and please, I created a little coupon to try to help, introduce your audience to this. So if they would like to, please take advantage of that. I have it there for you guys. Try the Dulsa, see how it fits into your life, because this is something that goes far beyond just sweetening up your coffee or your tea. This can go into all of your food items, all of your recipes, anything where you would typically like to put a sweetener, or if you're just looking to amplify, your nutritional intake. Again, this works for that too. So,
And that coupon is what's scrolling right across the bottom of the screen here. So dulsalife.com/truemedics, and you'll get a happy little discount there. And do you have recipes and stuff up there, Natalie, if so?
yeah, so I do have a small blog space on the website, but what's really exciting is I just got back from Branson, Missouri over at Praise the Lord Network, and we introduced their audience, their entire church to this. But what's happening is they're having me back out. We're doing an entire cooking program. We're going to make all types of different recipes, entrees, condiments, desserts, beverages. We're going to show people how to use the Dulsa. And again, it's not hard. 1 scoop equals 1 teaspoon. It's just a quarter of a teaspoon equals a teaspoon.
A teaspoon.
So, yeah, it's super easy, but that's something that's going to be happening. So we will have more resources for you. I ask people, hey, share your recipes when you make stuff. I have people telling me they're making pies, cupcakes, things of that nature. So as I get recipes and as people share them with me, I'll gladly post them to our website, to, our social medias. And, if you want to be featured, working with the Dulsa, please reach out to me.
Awesome. So, okay. So that's an open offer, you guys. So go hit her website, dulsalife.com. If you're going to buy something, use that coupon code TrueMedics. That'll get you a discount. Go out and look at the recipes, but become part of the community. Become part of Natalie's community and help people understand how to do more stuff with Dulsa Life. This is great. I know Cindy and I are always driving through the grocery store looking for alternative desserts and things like that to eat that are healthy. This is a way to make them yourself. This is a way to make your banana muffins or your, brownies or whatever, and make them in a good, healthy way. So Thank you, Natalie. I really appreciate you being here today. Anything you want to leave it with?
You know what? I'm not really a social media guru or anything like that, but people are definitely welcome to join and follow us and see what's happening on our social medias, and keep an eye out, because I have a sneaky suspicion Kennedy might be coming across something like this soon, or the Dr. Oz's of the world. I think you're going to see this coming into our mainstream sooner than later. And again, like I said, I appreciate everybody's support with this, because all I'm trying to do is make sure that the big sugar, big pharma, big ag machine doesn't continue to cause us all the harm that they are. I want to help people break free from that.
Awesome, Natalie. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. And we will leave it there, and we will see you guys back next week for another exciting version of Chip Talks Health. Thanks, and bye.
Thanks, guys.